Welcome to Sharon Shanklin Studio again. Today we're going to be talking about how to transfer a pattern onto your silk. So this is the pattern I'm going to be using, and in our last video we had talked about how to put your silk onto a PVC frame. So I've actually mounted a different piece of silk because if you recall, if you watched the other video, the piece of silk that I used had some dye dust on it and actually had some color on it, and I couldn't use it. So I have mounted a different piece of silk. And then this is the pattern that Karen Sistek has sent to me for our Around the World White Flower project. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer this on. Now, a few notes about white flower transfers. If you're going to be transferring for white flower, you need to make your lines really light because you don't want to be painting along and then you see the line there and you think that there's some definition or a shadow, and there really isn't because it's the removable pencil. So we'll be making the lines quite light today, and we won't be putting on these other symbols, the numbers or the arrows or the shading. We'll just have to look for that when we're painting the painting. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my silk over. Now, especially important in this process is to make sure, since this is a white flower, that your table's clean. So that's the first thing I've done, is make sure my table is really clean because I'm going to be putting my silk upside down right on my table. And then I'm going to take my pattern, and this is a 36 by 36 inch pattern. So I'm just going to center it on my silk, and then I'll use my clean silk pins because last time I hadn't cleaned my silk pins. I think that's where my dye dust came from and that got on my silk. So I'm pinning the pattern to the back of the silk. And then I'll go ahead and stick an extra little pin here. You don't have to pin it in a lot of spots, but you do have to make sure that it's not going to move around while you're transferring it. So the bigger the pattern, you might want to stick a few extra pins in it. Okay, so I've got my pattern pinned to my silk. Now, the pencil that I'm going to be using is a General's Sketch and Wash. So you can buy these by the dozen on Amazon. So this is a specially made pencil that will wash out of your silk. So first thing you want to do is make sure you get a really good fine pencil sharpener, because you don't want to grind up this pencil in your regular round pencil sharpener because it'll eat it up pretty quick, and since they're kind of expensive you don't want to do that. So I've got my little pencil sharpener here so I can keep it sharp. And then this is what I like to do, is I like to use a light tracer or a light box. If you don't have one of these, then I'll show you another thing that you can use. You can just get a couple of books that are about the height of your frame in your PVC pipe, and as you can see, looking down, you can see the pattern really well. Can you see that? I'll hold it up just a little so you can see. So just having that, you should be able to see your pattern well enough. If your pattern is just sketched with a pencil, you might want to go over it with a Sharpie marker so you can see it a little better. So typically you can use this. If you wanted to put a piece of mat board on top of those books, that would help the white show through even better. But if you do have a little light tracer, that makes things even easier. So I just am going to start at one corner here, and I'm putting my light tracer table on the top there. And actually, let me turn the table around so that it's sloped towards the camera, so you might be able to see it a little better. So I can stick it right there at the edge of my pattern, and then I'm going to just lightly start tracing this on. If you kind of look where the pencil is going, it will go a lot faster. And if you make a mistake, simply just trace where the line is actually supposed to be, because you're going to be following the pattern while you're doing it. So I've traced that one section. I'll finish this, and then I will move this over, make sure my lines are lining up, and then go ahead and do the next section, and I'll keep on going around until my whole entire pattern is traced on my silk. Again, just remember, white flowers, use a really soft hand with your pencil because you don't want to be relying on those. And then on some of Karen's patterns, she has things like this. You can see that little squiggly mark there. That represents that there's going to be a shadow there. So I'm not going to put that squiggly mark in there because I don't want all that pencil mark on there, but I'll be relying on that when I paint my picture. Same thing with the center of this pattern. You can see that there's more shadows here, but I will be putting in all these lines here. I won't be putting in the arrows. Those are just an indication of which direction the stamen are going, or the petals are going. So I'll use this as a pattern. I'll put the actual paper pattern up on the wall while I'm painting as a reference. So that's how easy it is when you're finished. You simply take the pattern off of the back of the silk and you're ready to go. So I hope that helps, and good luck with tracing your pattern onto your silk. And thank you again for visiting Sharon Shanklin Studio. Remember to check back to Karen Sistek Studio and her website, karensistekstudio.com, and follow along on Facebook on the Spin website when we do our white flower painting around the world on June 20th. So we look forward to seeing your photos there of your paintings, and you don't have to use this method. Use any method you want, and you don't even have to do it on silk. You can use different media if that is your preference. So we're looking forward to doing that project, and take care, and we'll see you again. Bye now.